This is Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin's price chart, and this right here is $40,000. Now, I think Bitcoin is on track for a $40,000 BTC before we actually start to see a move to the downside. In this video, I explore all of the options that I have at my disposal to kind of explain why I think Bitcoin is heading out towards $40,000. Let's roll that intro and get right. Okay, guys, we're going to kick things off with Bitcoin on this 1 hour time frame. Okay, as you can kind of see, we've got a few different things going on here. I'm just going to make this a little bit simpler to start with by removing some of the noise just off of the charts. So we're going to start with Elliott Wave theory, then we'll move over to EMAs, SMAs, and then smart money concepts to kind of show you where things are heading. Now, as you can see, yesterday we were talking about this move down here between 36,305, 36,915. We did tap into this range once. I was actually expecting us to come back down into the range, but instead we rallied on up. This is fine because we did actually hit that upper area, as you can kind of see just here. We tapped into that upper area, the upper range of our yellow box, indicating that our minimum expectations were already met, and so we started to rally on up. We obviously had our downward trend, if you want to call it that, the parallel channel with the lower highs and the lower lows, and obviously this was going to expect a break up in the same way that we have higher highs and higher lows that have a tendency to want to break down. This was the opposite, and we're looking for that break upwards. This to me looks like a pretty decent impulsive movement. We are looking to track up a little bit higher, but I don't think it is done just yet. I expect more from this as we progress upwards. Our target range was 39,180 to 39,740. This actually sat inside that larger range between 38,750 and 40,080. But if we go ahead and actually take a look at what's going on here, we can take stock of potentially a slightly bigger movement. Let's go ahead and take a position here to say, yeah, we could probably now actually be looking slightly higher than we were previously. So we'll go ahead and adjust our target range here just a little bit more towards 39,568 to 40,277 approximately. I'll remove the fibs. Okay, so that's kind of your Elliott Wave theory. This is basically tracking out the diagonal structures that we've been talking about for quite some time. We'll talk more about those potentially on the larger time frames. Because as we go up into the daily, that's really where we're going to be talking about those kind of things. So let's go ahead and throw on the EMAs, right? So the EMAs and the SMAs. We're going to have three lines here. The white line is the 200 EMA, the red line is the 50 EMA, and the yellow line is the 50 SMA. Now, as you can kind of see, we were finding these as good support. We've lost them. We're kind of battling them around a little bit. Most recently, on the 26th of November, we lost the 50 SMA as support. It became resistance, along with the 50 EMA. We then subsequently lost to the 200 EMA. We found all of this as resistance as we tapped into our low range area. And then, of course, we got that breakout. We break about out of the parallel channel and we break above the 200 EMA, the 50 EMA, and the 50 SMA. Everything here is now lining up quite nicely from those EMAs and the Elliott Wave theory. Now, again, I put out a video yesterday kind of talking about how you had to be bullish on kind of like that medium term. And that's kind of what we're seeing here, right? We're seeing that kind of break to the upside. I said it was hard to be bearish in times like this. That is not to say that we can't be bearish on the longer time frames, which we are. At least in my opinion, I think we still have a lot of bearishness to happen, which we'll talk about as we get into those higher time frames as well. Throw some smart money concepts on here. You can see that we are in a bullish structure, and we finally got a break of structure occur. Okay, that happened over here. So we had a change of character and a break of structure right over there. As we come up here, I imagine that we're probably going to get another break of structure up this end to confirm that our bullish stance is still valid. Okay, I know some people, are saying that we can't expect $40,000, blah blah blah. 8 months or so. I've seen it in the comments, but essentially, we're on track here for $40,000. Now, we are close to piercing the yearly high, 38,414. As soon as we start piercing that again, we'll be looking at moving on up towards the $40,000. Okay, so that's your 1 hour time frame, right? Essentially here, we are talking about getting some traction upwards. We're not going to go continuously all the way up there. We are going to see a correction to the downside. Let's bring that chart back up here. Okay, so we track this move here. I think we've got a little bit more in the tank before we start to move down on the 1 hour. Probably somewhere between 38,548 and 38,819, approximately somewhere in this little sweet spot right here. Okay, this will allow us then to see a nice healthy correction up here, back down, probably towards the fair value gap that was left behind, something to that effect, finding support on those EMAs before we then move up again and actually land up somewhere in our actual structure that we're looking for, and that end zone around $40,000. Okay, there's going to be a lot of resistance up there, so I don't expect us to kind of push through it, but you can kind of see what we're talking about all in all over here. So we can kind of see something to this effect, and yeah, I think that's going to kind of finish off that 1 hour time frame. I think we're going to be in a really pretty decent spot for BTC to kind of finish off those structures. Let's take this over into the daily time frame, right? So the daily time frame is that bigger macro piece, the one that I was saying is hard to be bearish on right now. And again, this is obvious because our stochastic RSI is lifting up. We are looking at finishing off this structure. Once we are overbought on our stochastic RSI on the daily time frame, our monthly is overbought, our weekly will be overbought, our daily will be overbought, our 8 hours overbought, our 4 hours going to be overbought. And chances are when we actually get there, the hourly is going to be overbought. Every time frame that we think is really important here is likely to be showing us some bearish movements, but that isn't just yet. We still have this move to the upside to be seen. We can take a look at the hidden bullish divergence. Let me bring that up on the screen there. The hidden bullish divergence is going to be an indication that we are likely to see this move up towards $40,000. Again, it isn't going to be as per people's retail investors kind of hopes and dreams that it's going to happen instantaneously. Do expect some volatility, do expect more liquidity grabs to occur, because essentially that's what we have been seeing. We've been seeing a lot of liquidations both on the longs and the shorts, and basically just seeing people getting wiped out because they're not using proper risk management and they're not using or understanding the ranging markets and where to put their stop losses and stuff like that. So we've seen a lot of liquidations for the retail investor side of things, but ultimately it doesn't change the fact that we are heading out towards our target ranges up here at that $40,000. Now inside here, from an Elliott Wave theory point of view, let me make that nice and big for you guys, we can see that this is a diagonal, and it's an expanding diagonal. Okay, there are some rules that have to be applied here with ending diagonals that are slightly different to that of just your kind of regular ending diagonals and things like that. Now an expanding diagonal has to basically make sure that wave 3 is not the shortest wave, and wave 5 has to be the shortest wave. Okay, so those are the two kind of key rules here. So wave 3 is not the shortest wave, meaning wave 5 has to be the longest for this to kind of play out. And again, it's targeting out that moves quite nicely. Now, within that fifth wave movement, I think we've got a diagonal in itself. I think we've kind of got ourselves going on here with some kind of diagonal pattern as well. Again, probably another expanding diagonal within the fifth wave of an expanding diagonal. It can be a little bit complex, but for the most part, that's kind of what we're tracking on the 1 hour time frame, and what is taking us out towards that $40,000 level. Now, from our EMAs and SMAs, again, we can see the red line, the 50 EMA, the yellow line, the 50 SMA, and the white line, the 200 EMA, and the price actions above all of those. And they're stacked up quite nicely with the longer term price action lower than that of the shorter term price action. Again, these are bullish indications. Smart money concept still shows us with a bullish structure, as you can kind of see with a break of structure here and a break of structure here. Again, confirming that we were in fact bullish at that moment in time. Now, you can also see that we do have fair value gap down here by equilibrium, and that's going to be my first point of interest, which will be basically bringing the price back down towards $30,000, $31,000. There's going to be some support to be found in this little range, and a fair value gap to kind of get filled out at the same time. So for everything on the daily time frame, looking good. I'm not too fussed about what's going on here. It's looking pretty good. Obviously, if I am to be trading this one, what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be looking to short the market from that $40,000 range, making sure that I have a nice big stop loss here. I don't want to kind of get stomped out unnecessarily. I'm going to give myself some room to breathe, but I am going to be targeting out that kind of $31,000 level, and we're going to get in good risk reward ratio. So I can lift this up as much as my heart is content to get a good risk reward ratio. I wouldn't want anything lower than 1.5, but if I can get a really good one, then you know, that's going to be great. And obviously, if I am to be trading, I am going to be trading leverage based on BitGet. Okay, BitGet is my go-to platform. Affiliate link is in the description. If you haven't yet signed up, why not check it out? So much great offers there over at BitGet, so check it out. Let's take this up into the weekly. The weekly here, we have the ascending wedge. The ascending wedge is a bearish pattern. Essentially, it shows you with higher highs and higher lows, yes, but it is an overlapping structure. It hasn't really got terribly too much traction to it. Now, as you can kind of see, there is this overbought range. We're overbought on the weekly stochastic RSI, not a strong place to be in. Now, if I go ahead and throw the divergences indicator in here, you can see the last hidden bullish divergence here on the weekly time frame saw this last move to the upside, but we are now up in the overbought area on the RSI, and that is not a strong place to be either. So we have to be a little bit cautious there. Now, as we take a look at the volumes, you can acknowledge that volume profiles are very, very low, much lower than they were previously. And this, of course, let me actually go ahead and just move this and merge all of this over to the one on the right hand side. And I'm going to go ahead and can I make that regular? Reset the price scale. There we go. So as you can kind of see here, you can see how volumes have been decreasing quite a bit since we had the all-time high. But most recently, in this move to the upside, you can see that the volumes are decreasing whilst price is increasing. This is a divergence. Okay, you don't normally expect to see price moving up on decreasing volume. Normally, you expect price to move up whilst you have increase in volume, such as what you saw back in 2021, for example. Okay, so to know that we are seeing this move to the upside, even most recently, if I zoom right in here and we take stock of this most recent move to the upside, we can also see that we have a decrease in volume as we've increased on price. Again, more divergences here that are not looking overly that strong in my opinion. Okay, so knowing that we are in an ascending wedge, knowing that we have an overbought stochastic RSI, knowing that the volume profiles don't support this move to the upside, knowing that $40,000 is going to be hitting that resistance area, my expectation is to have an awesome short position open on Bitcoin and maybe many altcoins, as I expect price to plummet back down towards $30,000. And I think, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens after that as well. So I think for the most part, this is going to wrap up today's video. If you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.